Whether it is Delaware, New Jersey, or Pennsylvania, the recognition of Greater Philadelphia as the epicenter of cell and gene therapy research, discovery, and development is universal. And it is why our next speaker, whose company, Amicus Therapeutics, which has deep, proud roots in Cranberry, New Jersey, chose to grow its operations in the U City Square neighborhood of West Philadelphia. In February of this year, Amicus announced that their decision to create its Cell and Gene Therapy Center of Excellence on the 3600 block of Market Street in the University City Science Center, creating 200 new jobs right here in our community. With more on that decision and insights into the incredible Amicus story, please welcome Amicus Therapeutics President and Chief Operating Officer Bradley Campbell. Bradley?
So, first of all, I just want to say that it is an honor to be here with luminaries in the space like Dr. June, pioneers like Jeff from Spark. It really is for Amicus, who's been a deep part of the greater Philly community for a long time, our home and our roots in Cranberry, New Jersey. Being introduced and welcomed into the Philly community has been really special for us. And if you'll indulge me, I thought I'd share our story and why we chose Philadelphia for our research center through three different families and two different buildings. So I chose to bring some visuals to this. I hope that's okay with everybody. And that says the end of my slideshow. One more. Okay, one forward. So where I'll start. So this is over 2 decades ago. I was a young professional and had the privilege to work alongside another young professional, John Crowley, who unfortunately couldn't be here today. He's our chairman and CEO. And two of his children, Megan and Patrick Crowley, were diagnosed with Pompe disease. Now, Pompe is a fatal neuromuscular disease. At the time, there was no treatment, and he was told that his children had less than a year to live. Now, John is relatively well known in this space, and you might have seen through either stories through the news media or through books or even a Hollywood movie about his incredible journey to save the lives of his two children, and in so doing, develop a treatment for Pompe disease, which then went on to save thousands of other patients' lives around the world. But what you may not have seen, although it was in the news fairly recently, is that the latest chapter in this story is that young girl, Megan Crowley, who I first met when she was 2 years old and had only 1 year to live, actually just graduated last week from the University of Notre Dame. And I think that really speaks to the power of biotechnology, and I think that's why all of us are here in this industry, to really change people's lives, and that's what inspired me to get into to this space. So bringing it a little bit closer to Amicus, a little over a decade ago, John and I reconnected. He encouraged me to come to Cranberry, New Jersey. I'd never heard of Cranberry, New Jersey. Very nice, by the way, if you ever want to come visit. And said he was starting a new company, Amicus Therapeutics, and the goal was to develop next-generation therapies for Pompe disease, but also diseases like Fabry and many others. And so this family is affected by Fabry disease. It's also a rare genetic disease. It's fatal if left untreated, affects the kidney, the heart, CNS. And this family has been an integral part of our history over the last decade as we've tried to develop a treatment for Fabry. The woman on the right is near and dear to us. She was one of the very first patients in one of our first clinical trials for our then investigational treatment for Fabry. Her sister on the left is one of our founding members of our patient advisory board. Their daughter, who is very lovely, I think she was 8 in this picture. She's now going off to college. She actually came and gave a lecture to our entire company about how to prepare for entering college with a rare disease and the medical care team that was associated with that, and helped teach us how to think about how we care for patients. And unfortunately, the father has passed away since this picture was taken. And I think it's just a reminder for all of us at Amicus and in this space that time really is your enemy. But they've been an inspirational part of us. And in fact, last year, our therapy, Galafold, was approved in the United States for the treatment of Fabry disease for patients with specific amenable variants, and is now the only available oral treatment for Fabry in the US and around the world. And was a really important part of our history and gave us the platform to spring forward from and leads us to where we are today. And I apologize, this looks a little bit like the Enterprise crashing into a building in downtown Philly. It's not. And I assure you our headquarters in Cranberry on the left is not so technical as that, but it has been our home. We grew up in New Jersey, greater Philadelphia. We came out of an incubator space moved to this facility here and have been able to grow and draw from the talent pool in pharma and biotech, hired great clinical developers and commercial folks and finance folks, and have built a pretty good sized company there. We've developed our Fabry drug. We have another one in Pompe disease. But what brings us to Philly is really gene therapy. And you heard Dr. June talked about CAR-T. We'll hear Jeff talk about gene therapy in a more classic sense in a moment. But for us, we entered into two collaborations, one that brought us CNS gene therapies from Nationwide Hospital in Ohio. The other one, which brought us a collaboration with Dr. Jim Wilson, who's at the gene therapy program in Penn, in the Perelman School of Medicine. And between those two collaborations, and in fact, we just expanded one of them last week with Dr. Wilson, we now have 14 active clinical and preclinical gene therapy programs. And we have access to over 60 in discovery and development through the collaboration with Dr. Wilson. So we have a rich pipeline of gene therapy programs. The problem is we didn't know where to put it. And we had the opportunity then to look across the country and really across the world to find the best location for our new gene therapy center of excellence. And believe me, we could have gone to Silicon Valley or to Cambridge, anywhere in the world, and it was clear to us, and I think all of the speakers here today and the materials we've looked at, the videos, show very much that momentum, that spark, that innovation, the entrepreneurship, the researchers, the academicians, the medical centers, Penn and Temple and Drexel, already we're in temporary space now. Within weeks of us joining there, we ran into the head of the genomics center there at Penn, who invited us in, and we reconnected, and they have the largest biobank this community has the largest biobank of rare disease patients in the country, if not the world. And so just that proximity, that close proximity to so much innovation and research is amazing for us. And so you see on the right there, that is the new building that we'll be occupying the top 3 floors of. As Vi mentioned, we're bringing at least 200 researchers and scientists here to the city. Look for a office opening at the end of this year. You guys are all welcome. You heard it here first. And that will be the springboard for us. And what I would leave you with is one last image. And so this young lady has CLN3 Batten disease, another fatal genetic disease. There is no treatment. We did start a clinical trial for a gene therapy to treat Batten disease. She's actually on the streets of Philadelphia, so she's a local. And my hope is that as we look out to the decades to come, we look back on this moment and we say this is the time when this city, Greater Philadelphia, became the epicenter, not just for CAR-T and cell therapy, but for gene therapy. And we look forward and say this is when we were able to develop treatments and cures for people like this young girl and for many other patients that we're focused on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bradley.